Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Captain America. Captain America gets a massive box office drop in the USA, and they actually got killed in the UK. Like humiliated in the UK, they shouldn't have even released this thing in the UK. A lot of us said, you know what, this movie probably isn't going to do that well because it's a little bit out of step with the whole race swap thing, with the Marvels bombing the way it did. Even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania did not do well, but so far, this is not tracking to do as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. From thatparkplace.com, Captain America: Brave New World predicted to have a 70% drop in its second weekend, tracking for one of Marvel's worst box office performances. And in the UK, from thatparkplace.com, Captain America: Brave New World loses to Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy in the UK box office. What do you mean, Mad About the Boy? Well, it's a rom-com, and it's a Peacock original film for the streaming service, for Universal. Beats Captain America, Disney's largest franchise. Not even just Disney's largest franchise, the largest film franchise in history with an unlimited amount of exposure, Disney Plus TV shows, billions of dollars being spent, gets beaten by Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy in the UK box office. And I haven't seen it, but Mad About the Boy is probably mad like crazy. I'm mad about that boy. Not actually angry at a boy. Captain America: Brave New World is set to drop a brutal 70% in its second weekend at the US box office. This would place it among the worst performing Marvel films ever, alongside the Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Somewhere right there in the middle of those two. Despite early reports claiming its debut was a $100 million success, the numbers don't really hold up under scrutiny. The film's actual 3-day total was $88 million, and even that is struggling to sustain momentum. And also keep in mind, when Disney does its financial filings, like its quarterly reports, its annually reports, special reports like 10Ks, those are really accurate, at least in terms of how they do their accounting. They're currently being sued for some, what could be, let's say, funny accounting when they were launching Disney Plus a couple of years ago. But when Disney reports box office, those numbers are not reported to the SEC. Those are not like public company numbers. Those numbers can almost be whatever Disney says those numbers should be. There was a big discussion in the Captain Marvel days about how Disney was spending money buying tickets and giving them away promotionally so that girls could go see the movie. They were financing NGOs to buy tickets to see the movies. So how much of that actual box office, when they report a box office number, is really traditional, accurate numbers that you expect, like people that actually went and bought those tickets? We don't really know. And Disney really isn't under a legal obligation to break those numbers out publicly and tell us. So we go from the box office reports, and the numbers really do just come out of Disney. Ultimately, you can't hide failure. And when you have a bomb like the Marvels, and what this is shaping up to be, Captain America, the truth comes out. Box office analysts are warning that if this movie fails to hit $400 million globally, it will be a financial disaster for Marvel. Considering its steep drop-off so far, that outcome is looking more and more likely. Comparisons to past Captain America movies make Brave New World's numbers look even worse. Captain America: Civil War made $1.15 billion. Winter Soldier hit $714 million, and even the first Avenger, released in 2011, outperformed Brave New World when adjusted for inflation. A weak B- cinema score suggests that general audiences are unimpressed. Historically, films with that rating tend to crash after their opening weekend, and Brave New World is following the pattern. Reviews haven't helped either, with the film currently sitting at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. While the audience score is slightly better at 80%, it hasn't been enough to boost the ticket sales. One of the biggest factors behind the film's struggles is its chaotic production. Extensive reshoots and last-minute changes resulted in a muddled final product that failed to connect with audiences. Reports indicate that Marvel cut major characters and altered the film's post-credits scene late in development. This suggests a lack of confidence in the film's direction even before it got released. The MCU's overall decline is now impossible to ignore. Once an unstoppable box office force, the franchise is now struggling to maintain relevance amid growing audience fatigue. People have had it with Marvel. It's not a superhero fatigue. We saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and now we see this. And we saw the Marvels, and we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and even Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not superhero fatigue. It's super badly done movie fatigue. And beyond that, it makes it much more difficult for other superhero characters to get translated into film, especially if it's not a Marvel or DC character. Marvel likes to say their problem has something to do with oversaturation. In other words, putting out too many TV shows based on superheroes, putting out too many movies based on superheroes, and we know it's not that. The fatigue, the saturation, is not giving people what they want and constantly promising people they're going to like whatever it is that they do. Every time they try it, it never pans out. Brave New World was supposed to revitalize the Captain America franchise. Instead, it's proving that Marvel's formula is no longer a guaranteed success. They actually have to make things that people want to see. They need to talk to their fans. There are no such things as toxic fans. There are only people that actually care about what you're trying to do. And you need that on the side of the people making the movies, and you need that on the side of the people that are supposed to be watching the movies and telling their friends about it. It's that simple. My prediction for this movie was it probably would be somewhere between the Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And the reason I predicted that was because there was really no positive buzz about the movie. I mean, what, Red Hulk? Is that something people are supposed to be excited about? Can you imagine this? We decided to race swap a Marvel superhero? Really? A black Captain America? Like, well, okay, that's fine, but it's not an attraction to go see the movie. Not just not for me, but it's not for anyone else. There's such little excitement for these projects. Compare that to Deadpool and Wolverine. And yes, that was a more sophisticated marketing program by Ryan Reynolds himself. But that's what you need to do. You need to get people interested. And if you can't do that, the movie's going to have a problem. You're going to put something out that people don't feel like they need to see, and certainly don't need to tell their friends about it, and then again, don't need to see it more than once. Those are the elements of either a hit or a flop just right there. Despite efforts by legacy media to frame the opening of this movie as a victory, the second weekend numbers will tell the real story. The audience simply isn't showing up like they used to for Marvel movies. Marvel's struggle to create compelling standalone stories is catching up with them. There's too big a focus on trying to set up future projects, leaving individual films feeling weak and disposable. Now the future of the MCU looks increasingly uncertain. With Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four on the horizon, Marvel could be headed for an even bigger failure. At least the Fantastic Four has some interest and some positive buzz. Brave New World's failure is more than just a box office misfire. It's a warning sign. If Marvel doesn't course correct soon, people will no longer look at Marvel as a non-stop, super powerful brand. Because your brand is only as powerful as your last satisfied customer. And Captain America: Brave New World did not create a lot of satisfied customers. Captain America: Brave New World was supposed to dominate the UK box office, but instead suffered an embarrassing defeat when it lost the weekend to Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, a romantic comedy with no US theatrical release. Like literally none. The Bridget Jones sequel earned $15 million in its opening weekend. Meanwhile, Brave New World only pulled in $6 million, falling far short of expectations. This defeat is a significant blow to Marvel's reputation. The MCU, once untouchable, is now struggling to maintain its dominance in international markets. Domestically, the film performed slightly better, earning $100 million over 5 days. However, the global market remains crucial for its financial success. Brave New World reportedly had a production budget of $180 million. However, insiders report the real cost, including marketing and reshoots, is closer to $350 million. We know that you can't market a movie for nothing. It costs money, and we've all seen commercials for Captain America: Brave New World. On top of that, yes, they had multiple reshoots, and they do have a lucrative rebate tax program when they get the production done in the UK. That's great. But when you add in the cost of reshoots and you add in the cost of marketing, the cost to make this movie is astronomical. Some people have put the number at $300 million, $350 million. We're never going to really know, and Disney can report the costs almost any which way they want to. It's a lot more than $180 million, that much we know. Reportedly, to break even, The film must reach at least $425 million in global revenue, and some sources suggest it could need as much as $900 million due to all the extra costs. The film underwent extensive reshoots due to poor test screening results. A new villain played by Giancarlo Esposito, also known as Gus from Breaking Bad, was added during a 22-day period. Director Julius Ona downplayed the reshoots, calling them a normal part of filmmaking. However, insiders described the process as chaotic and extremely costly. Some analysts believe the film might stabilize at its second weekend, but many analysts think we're going to see a massive drop. However, the UK box office failure suggests a steep decline is possible. And not only possible, extremely likely. This loss is part of a larger trend of Marvel's declining box office performance. Previous MCU films like Eternals, The Marvels, and Quantumania also underperformed. Superhero fatigue seems to be growing, with audiences losing interest in formulaic Marvel films done poorly. You know, the comics were very formulaic, and people loved those comics the more formulaic they were. The more you knew you would get what Jack Kirby could do. Every time you bought one of those comic books, the more successful those comics were, because you gave people something that they enjoyed. You knew what they wanted, and you just gave it to them again and again. It really is that simple. But you have to take your ego out of it and just figure out what do people actually want and give it to them again and again. And now the success of Bridget Jones suggests a shift in audience preferences. Romantic comedies, once considered niche, are now outperforming superhero blockbusters in some geographies. A romantic comedy is like a really low budget kind of thing. It's not a blockbuster event of a movie, and you compare that to a Marvel big budget movie, it's not supposed to be like even in the conversation. And yet it is, and yet it's beating the Marvel movie. Marvel's high budgets and expensive marketing campaigns make financial success even harder to achieve. If Brave New World flops internationally, it could force the MCU to rethink its strategy. Ultimately, this box office defeat is more than just a bad weekend for Marvel. It's a huge warning sign that the studio's golden age may have already come to an end. And really, the golden age of the MCU has come to an end. You don't have anticipation for everything they're going to put out. You're not excited to see what they're going to do next. You know that they call their fans toxic. You know that occasionally you'll get a Deadpool and Wolverine, and you're going to get 4 or 5 other movies that are going to be terrible. There's no more consistency across the line. They'll put out an okay movie, I'm sure, here and there. It's probably not going to be Thunderbolts. Maybe the Fantastic Four will actually be good. Who knows? That was the first comic book series I was really interested in from Marvel. There's just no way to pick up like those old Jack Kirby comics and not get excited about comic books and stories and characters in all those amazing creative worlds. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.